that's real.
What up, big dogs? Welcome to the George White the Speaker Show. This is season 1, episode 1. And you are tuned in. Talk that talk, George, with the big dog. Thank y'all for joining. Thank y'all for watching this podcast. For those who don't know, I'm starting this podcast back up. I used to have this podcast maybe a year and a half ago. Things took place, so I want to start the podcast back up. I want to make it more personal. And God been calling me to do this, to be more obedient when it comes to podcasting, to be able to serve the people. And I'm grateful and thankful that I have the opportunity to do what I can do, what God called me to do, what God called me to be, which is to be a big dog. Also, you can watch the full episode only on my Patreon. I will be uploading every episode to my Patreon on Sunday at 11 a.m. Central Standard Time. Also, you can listen to the full audio on my Anchor app. So 2 ways you can listen. You can watch it, listen to it. Either on my Patreon, you watch the video and hear the audio, or my Anchor app will just be only the audio. So the link will be in my bio. Thank y'all for tuning in with the big dog. I'm grateful and I'm thankful. Also, you can watch the reruns maybe like 6 days later after that Sunday, which will be that Friday on YouTube. So for those who want to watch and listen when it first drop, the only way you can listen to it is on my Anchor app, or the full episode will be on my Patreon. So turn them up, George. I'm feeling the energy this morning, y'all. God is so good. You know, the topic today is about obedience, and I always speak about this, to my young fellas, to know my older people as well. When those like George, like, how can I get to that level? A lot of people think about the level, but they forget the purpose. Obedience is greater than sacrifice. To live in your purpose, you got to live on purpose by being obedience. I remember back in 2021, my wife can attest to this, when God called me to leave my job to be a full-time motivation speaker, I didn't understand. But I know I had to trust God to be obedient to his calling, just like Abraham. Abraham didn't understand why God was calling him to sacrifice his son. See, if Abraham wasn't obedient, like, God, I can't do this to my son. There is a possibility that he could have had lost his son. But since he was obedient to the sacrifice, he went where God called him to go. And he didn't have to sacrifice his son. It was a lamb waiting on the hilltop to sacrifice. We got to be obedient to our calling. Life not meant to be easy, y'all. It's just meant to be lived. And life is better when you heal. Life is better when you have wisdom. A lot of people talk a good game, but they don't stand on it. They not trying to be who God called them to be. And my favorite quote, me and my brother Jesse Messenger was speaking about the other day. He like, does the Bible resonate the same when it's a lesson as it does when it's a blessing? Let me say it again. Does the Bible resonate the same when it's a lesson as much as this is a blessing? We try to live according to a certain way because we don't want to go through that. We don't want to go through the hard times. Life not, like I said, life not meant to be easy. Like, to really reap the harvest, 10-fold, 100-fold, 1,000-fold, you're going to have to be obedient, man. To be the big dog, to be the voice of motivation, it wasn't easy. A lot of these casting, they can just show up. Showing up don't get you nowhere. It's about how you can be obedient. It's about how you can apply that pressure. It's about how you can trust God, man. It's about how you can trust God. And I'm thankful, to be in this, to have this opportunity so people can see my testimony and be like, because George did, I can. And I'm telling you today, wherever you're going through, wherever you want to accomplish, you can, you will, you must. Because it's already been done by somebody else. It's your turn. It's been your turn. That's why I say many are called, but few are chosen. If you're going to be chosen, you got to walk like you're chosen. You got to talk like you're chosen. You got to understand that you're chosen. Because the enemy try to play on your mind. He uses people for people. Once you get focused, sometimes people that don't mean you no good try to come into your life to distract you. Because there's a calling on your life. There's a calling on your life. What you going to do with your purpose? Who you going to become when God chose you? Your testimony got to live through you so other people can feel it. They gotta feel it. So when it comes to obedience, number one, if you want to know how to become better and be in your purpose, obedience. I need everybody to write this down and say obedience. Because we gotta have obedience. Obedience means you're gonna trust God. Obedience through the win, lose, or maybe, you're gonna trust God. Write down your dreams, write down your goals. Ask God for discernment. Ask God for understanding. I remember like when I first started as a motivation speaker, I started with one follower, and that was my wife. I had understanding and wisdom that God called me to it. I had to work a little harder. I had to create some understanding within my niche to become better as a speaker. I didn't have somebody to edit my video. I had to do it myself. That's obedience. That's understanding. I wouldn't wait for the next man. I wouldn't wait for the next person. I had to do it myself. And that's how I created strength. And that's how I created that desire to keep going, to keep growing, to become better. Years passed. Next thing you know, after 3 years of doing motivational speaking, I finally touched the stage. A lot of people don't want to get started because they don't want to go through the process. You got to trust that process. I couldn't start and go straight to the stage because in the middle, the obedience. Oh, share that up, your boy. The middle is where that wisdom gonna come. That's where that guidance gonna come. That's where the understanding gonna come. So by the time I get to that stage, I'm serving with a purpose. You serve with a purpose. You gotta serve with a purpose. Another topic I want to speak about as well is who are you when nobody's watching? Like, who are you when the odds are stacked against you? Who are you when life not playing fair and you feel frustrated? Are you still hungry? Are you still dedicated? Are you willing to put in that work? Are you willing to give it your all? A lot of people have the skills and talent. They just lack patience. But if you who your bloodline been waiting for, then show that. Stand on that. Fulfill that. Because especially if you came a long way from nothing. Like me. Especially with the people who had the biggest purpose in their life. Life wasn't easy. The chosen one went through a season where you had to isolate. Where sometimes when you're around a group of people, you got to recharge. You could be an introvert and extrovert at the same time. You have understanding when you need to recharge yourself to be greater later for the people. You can't be great if you don't recharge. That's why I say this: don't only lean on talent. A lot of these cats, a lot of these athletes, a lot of these artists, actors, actresses, everybody depend on their talent. Talent don't get you so far. Discipline get you to the next level. Discipline is how you leave a legacy. Are you gonna be hungry enough to keep perfecting your craft? Are you gonna be hungry enough to stay disciplined? Are you gonna be hungry enough to stay obedient? What do you want? Not only right now. Not only right now. The past is gone. Your present is watching. Who are you for the future? That's what you gotta ask yourself. There's one quote I was reading as well when this gentleman said, and it hits me different when they say, "From the mistakes of others, a wise man correct his own." And what that means is like, I go back to say God uses people for people, and the enemy does as well. We become better, or we learn what not to do by watching other people. And that's why I never kick a man when he down. I never look over a person because what they did or where they came from. But what I can do is understand what they did and learn from the mistakes. And when he said, "For the mistakes of others, a wise man correct his own." So when I do make a mistake myself, I'm gonna do it full speed. But I don't need nobody to give me confirmation on my mistake because I'm aware of what I've done. Ooh, talk, George. I'm aware of my mistakes of what I've done. That's how you create more wisdom for yourself. When you start depending on people, people control you. They control your future. They control your destination. Have wisdom, understanding, and discernment enough to understand what you did wrong, how to correct and grow from it, how to move from it. Everything that you need to understand or to become better is from the decision you made. Just because you made a bad decision yesterday doesn't mean you won't make a bad decision tomorrow. If you stay ready, it's the same my grandpa used to say, if you stay ready, then you never have to worry about getting ready. That's about being intentional. It's about being intentional. You know, when I lost my football scholarship in high school, when a lot of bad things took place in my life as a young cat, I remember like my first thing I wanted to do is blame people. But not once I ever looked in that mirror. Not once I was intentional. I'm talking to somebody right now. A lot of people feel still stuck in the same place from 5, 10 years ago because you still blaming childhood trauma, or you still blaming other people for the decision you made. Be intentional. Take initiative, because your next opportunity is right after ownership. Ooh. Your next opportunity is right after your ownership. Take ownership of the things you did. But that's part of my trials and error. That's part of my testimony. Now I get to speak to the other young cats, the other young brothers, the other young sisters, to help them understand that the longer you stay in your past, you won't graduate into your future. The longer you stay in your past, you will never graduate into your future. It's about the current moment. The current moment will help you graduate into the future self. The enemy has a plan for your life. God has a plan for your life. Just be ready for both. Be wise enough to know which one to battle and which one to embrace. Embrace God through the bad, good, and the ugly, even through your mistakes. Don't get stuck in the same place that your mama been stuck in for 5, 10, 20 years. Don't get stuck in the place that your grandma been stuck in 5, 10, 20 years. Or your grandpa, your dad. If you who your bloodline been waiting for, do you want to have to do something different from what your mom, your brother, or your dad, your grandma, your mom had done? Elevation is the key. But to elevate, sometimes you got to isolate, evaluate, eliminate so you can elevate. And that's the key to being intentional. When you're intentional, them things will happen. Nobody can tell you about yourself because you've been working on yourself to better yourself. Now you don't get everything you've been praying for. You don't get everything you've been working hard for. And that will turn you into a big dog. When I got this sweater from Ole Miss, I went and spoke to the basketball team. I love they catch phrase and they saying, which is no ceiling. You know, a lot of people say they shooting for the stars, or man, I'm shooting for the ceiling. I don't put a cap on myself. Listen to me. If I cap myself, I'm stopping God's power. Because God wants you to keep going, keep going, keep going. Don't put a cap over yourself. Because what you're doing this season is not guaranteed what you're doing next season. The next season might require more abundance. It might be more blessing. But you got to be prepared and ready. When the opportunity presents itself, then it's for the taking. So go take it. Go take it. Say take it. I want y'all to drop it and say take it. We taking everything God presented to us by being intentional, by being obedient, and having discipline. Obedience means destiny, destination, sacrifice is location. So, you see a lot of these cats, who get a D1 scholarship, or they get the job they want, or whatever. They're like, man, I got here because I sacrificed. This is where I'm supposed to be. No. God don't focus on location. Location prunes you to get to a destination. Just because you sacrifice a lot and put the hard work to get where you at, were you obedient in that sacrifice? That will matter. You don't get to a location just to stay there. You don't get to the location just to live there. You get to that location to grow from there. So you can reach your pinnacle. So you can manifest your goals and get you where God wants you to be, which is being obedient to that call and being obedient to that sacrifice to get to the destination. Remember, greater is not he who set the table, greater is he who served. So if you're being obedient, you got to understand what you're doing is never for self. It's for future generation. You're going to have kids one day. You got to become better and have more for your kids. The sins of the father get passed down to the third and fourth generation. Who are you in your obedience? Get away from the mindset of just sacrificing. It's a lot of people who do a lot of things in life because they feel like, okay, I'm done because I sacrificed enough. That's cool. I understand that. Especially if you've been through some stuff, I understand that. But we got to focus on the destination and the destiny that God wants us to get to and where he wants to be. That's a calling on your life. That's a calling on the next person's life. But a lot of people don't get to that calling because they get so content and complacent. Only when they sacrifice and get to a certain location they've been praying for. That's cool. But it doesn't stop there. It can't stop there. So I'm asking you, are you ready to get to that destination? Are you willing to be obedient enough to get to that destination? Or are you who your bloodline been waiting for? Those are some questions you have to ask yourself. Don't let life break you down. If you can look up, then you can get up. I need y'all right now. I need you to be honest with yourself. When you start waking up in the morning, be honest with yourself. There's a lot of stuff weighing on you. Remove it from you. Create a strategy. Create something that's gonna benefit you. Old ways can't go with you. Old ways can't go through the new doors with you. Old people can't always go with you. It's time to become better because you's a big dog. I love y'all. Thank y'all. Thank you for watching this episode 1, season 1. Obedience is greater than sacrifice. For those who haven't already, be sure to become a member of my Patreon. Also, you can hear me on Anchor app. I'll be uploading every Sunday at 11 a.m. Central Standard Time. I will be uploading a full episode on my Patreon where you can watch this. You can listen to this as you're driving, at nighttime, whenever. I hope you get this download. Hope you get this message. Hope the big dog touch your spirit today. It's big dog season. Turn them up, George. Big dog. Yeah, that's real. Talk that talk, George. Turn them up.